Hello and welcome to Not So Indie, where we talk about all things small, lost, and forgotten. Today, we're going to be talking about movie video game adaptations, or more specifically, that of Disney's Monsters, Inc. The movie made its debut in theaters in 2001, and since then has branched out into all kinds of mediums, including books, prequels, games, and, oh god, the merchandise! Jokes aside, with almost every single movie comes a game adaptation. Whether those games are good, or Barbie for the PS1, it's all up to the studios who made them. With that aside, I'd like to talk about some of the games that has spawned from this monster of a franchise that Disney has made. And see if they still hold up to this day. So let's just jump right into it. So, interestingly enough, there's only actually 2 Monsters, Inc. games, but of course that's excluding all the times that they've appeared in other games, and the games that are made for babies. Alright, so we're just gonna start with the one that's called Monsters, Inc. Developed by Kodiak Interactive, who literally went out of business 3 months before this game came out. This game follows Mike and Sully through the events of the first movie, told through 8 different levels. And come on, you can't possibly go wrong with So the first level has us doing something completely unrelated to the plot of the story, of course, fetching this guy's manual.
Hey, relax. I'll go get your manual. Wait here. What the?
And afterward, he realizes that he loses his key card as well.
Key card? Oh no.
And then at the end,
Oh, thanks for collecting that card from me, Sully. Well, I would say let's get to work, but my ride home is gonna be out front soon.
in the second level, Boo gets lost in the mailroom.
Sully, you need to find that thing!
What kind of a mailroom is this? Anyway, after the level ends, we find Boo, and she has like the weirdest dialogue. On the third level, Boo gets lost again.
I'm coming, Boo. Don't worry.
And this time it makes even less sense because she's teleporting across buildings. And this is only 3 levels out of 4, because after the aftermath of the past 2 levels, Sully and Mike decide to lay low for a while and make a little disguise for Boo by breaking and entering into people's apartments, all while terrorizing the locals. Jokes aside though, I think this is my favorite level design just because there's an actual functioning elevator that you have to take to get to the different floors. And then the level designers were like, yeah, let's add an entire lava platforming section, because that makes sense. So, after they complete their disguise, they proceed to,
Don't worry, Boo. I'm coming.
I lost her again. This time, in the garbage disposal. This level is boring. But at least at the end of it, we get to see Sully fall into some mysterious green goo. But hey, not all is bad, because we end up in the Himalayas somehow. The goal of this level is to get to the village at the end, which is like a single yurt. And the 7th level has us saving Boo from Randall, which,
Don't worry, Boo. I'm coming. It doesn't matter what you put in my way, Randall. It won't stop me from getting Boo.
Also, I love the fact that they had to reuse the exact same dialogue for 3 different missions.
Don't worry, Boo. I'm coming, Boo. I'm coming. Don't worry, Boo. I'm worry, Boo. I'm coming.
And now we've made it to the final level, the ultimate showdown.
What? Sully? I'm disappointed in you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Waterdew, but I can't let you get away with it.
I'm so sorry to hear that, my boy. Please know that this will hurt me as much as it hurts you.
I have killed your entire family. Water news. What? I can't hear you. I'm too busy. This is what I do. I got a cat. So after completing the final level, you get
This is definitely a good thing.
That's it? That's
Monsters, Inc. the video game.
That was just a bunch of cheap walk cycles!
I think that genuinely I would actually play this at my funeral. Today we are all gathered here to rejoice in the life of Chris. Before he died, he'd asked us to play this video for him, which we will now display on the screen. He had also asked us to place his favorite cookie upon his body, so that his body may rest in pieces like the cookie.
Oh, dang, is that my favorite cookie?
Body. Oh my god. So, now it's rating time. I have 4 categories here that will all get an individual score, and then there will be an overall score at the very end. Starting with gameplay. I'd definitely give it a 2 out of 10. It's like a 3D platformer, but Monsters Inc. themed. The music and sound effects are also a 2 out of 10. For me, a lot of the music felt unfitting and really bombastic for the setting. There's this one song that I kinda like, but that's about it. As for the sound effects, I really liked some of them, like the menu sounds were pretty tasty, and the Scream Canister collection sounds are interesting. They also give Sully the most generic sounding roar known to man. As for the UI design, I'd definitely give it a 6 out of 10. It actually has some funny little 3D animations to it, and despite it being a little bit creepy, I think it definitely has its charm. And last but not least, voice acting. In terms of voice acting, they actually got some decently big names for some of the characters, but obviously it wasn't in their budget to hire everybody back from the movie. So they got people like Brian Cummings to voice Sully, who's famous for his role as Stove in Beauty and the Beast, and Carlos, I am not even gonna try to pronounce that, voiced Mike. His most famous role being Rocco from the classic Nick series Rocco's Modern Life, which is pretty cool. They actually got the original voice actor for Water News to do some original lines for this game. However, he would unfortunately pass away later that year. John Ratzenberger actually made an appearance as the Abominable Snowman, but I mean, that's pretty much it in terms of like big names. You can tell they all didn't get paid enough for this because their voices are dull and lifeless, which I mean, can you blame them? 5 out of 10. In conclusion, definitely gets a 3 out of 10. Though it sucks ass, it's a fun little time capsule of the bygone era of movie video game adaptations. Next up on our list is a game called Scream Team, or Scare Island as it's known in the UK version. This game was developed by Artificial Mind and Movement, who changed their name back to Behavior Interactive in 2011, or you may know them as the creators of Dead by Daylight. This game follows Mike and Sully before the events of the first movie, but after Monster University. And, playing as either Mike or Sully, you basically go through training on an island built specifically for scarers. There are 3 worlds to visit, each having 4 levels in them. The gameplay is actually pretty repetitive, and it doesn't really offer anything new to the table. But in short, you go around scaring these robot children that are called nerves, and you have to scare a certain amount of them to get a bronze medal. And once you get 4 bronze medals, then you can unlock a new world, in which you do the exact same thing for all 4 levels in that world. And after you complete a world, you get an item that helps you reach previously inaccessible areas for collectibles. And you do so for every single world until you've practically beat the whole game. I told you it didn't add much in terms of gameplay. The 3 worlds actually have unique themes. The first one being city themed, the second one being snow themed, and the third one being desert themed. I used to actually own a copy of this game on the original PS1, but it was only the demo one, so I only had 2 levels to play, which was the city center, or downtown, depending on which version you're playing, and the Oasis. Despite this, I remember having so much fun playing this back in the day, and listening to the fire soundtrack. This game actually survived long enough to get a remake in 2002 when it made it to the PlayStation 2. Of course, it looks amazing compared to the choppy and glitchy looking graphics from the PlayStation 1 version of the game. But if you ask me, that's part of the charm. I feel like the more realistic approach with the PS2 version makes it look kinda dull and lifeless, and it ends up looking like a washed out version of the original one. So, gameplay-wise, I'd definitely give it a 5 out of 10. It's very repetitive, it's not for everyone, and it's definitely a little bit boring. It should be obvious considering this game is mostly targeted at a younger audience, but if you ask me, it's pretty fun still. Music and sound effects is a solid 10 out of 10. The music is some of the best video game music I've heard from a small and unknown game. Not only that, but each song fits perfectly with the theme of the level, and sound effects are nice and crisp. Just overall fit the vibe very well. UI design is definitely a 7 out of 10. It's pretty simple, straightforward, and gets straight to the point. Voice acting, definitely a 10 out of 10. Some of the best voice acting I've heard from a video game of this caliber. It really seems like they're into their characters despite not being a lot of dialogue in the game. I feel like that benefits it greatly because the dialogue that is there has a lot of energy and fits the characters very well. Funnily enough, both Brian Cummings and Carlos Alazraqui return for the voices of Sully and Mike, and I feel like they do a much better job in this game, sounding a lot more like their movie counterparts. As for the other characters, they somehow managed to bring back the rest of the cast straight from the movie, which definitely adds bonus points to this category. In conclusion, despite it being an old and forgotten PS1 game, it still managed to surprise me with how well it held up to this day. Solid 8 out of 10. Alright, that about wraps up this video. Let me know what other media or game you want me to cover in the comments, and I'll see you all later!